Friends, it is now my great pleasure to introduce Olivia Hansen, who is a great friend of the esoteric work in so many places in the world. She's animated by the spirit of synthesis and has managed somehow to keep her eye on so many important developments and her heart supporting them. So we welcome you, Olivia. Thank you for everything you've done.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay. It's a delight to be with you, and hello, everyone. Our focus today is on bridging the divide. And let me begin by saying that we as a group are loving and kind, and we care about each other, and we care about other people, and our country, and our world. And we're very dismayed at what is going on, all the divisiveness, all the extreme, nasty polarization, and the violence we see. Many people can't seem to agree about anything. They can't even agree on what is a fact, or an alternative fact, or what is real news, or fake news. They can't even agree to disagree. There is such nastiness and division now. And as spiritual workers, we are alarmed. We're alarmed by the separativeness that is being expressed in the U.S. and the world. It is the one sin that Master Dwal Kul talks about. Separativeness is the source of all glamour and illusion in the world. For disciples of the Ageless Wisdom, there is also something else that is additionally challenging for us. It is the danger of imperil. Master DK writes about this in Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. He says, the danger of imperil, as Master Moria has called it, is somewhat erroneously interpreted as irritation by the neophyte. But it is not, in fact, irritation in the ordinary connotation of the word. The surface ripples of ordinary irritation and anger to which all disciples are prone are relatively of small importance. What is referred to is the reaction of disciples to world evil. This produces uncertainty as to the future, annoyance at what is being done throughout the planet by non-disciples, criticism of national and international planning, and a general atmosphere of unhappiness, plus a sense of superior knowledge. All this is expressed in a negative and unconstructive manner. To this, many disciples today are prone. They need to realize that world affairs are not and cannot be molded or determined by any hierarchical knowledge in the possession of the disciple. World affairs and conditions have necessarily to be based upon the demand and the point in evolution of the mass of humanity, working through their representatives chosen or imposed in every country. This demand can be and is affected, modified, spiritualized by the attitude and the teachings of disciples everywhere who are vocal and of humanitarian instinct. Master DK goes on to say, If the will and knowledge of disciples in all nations were to condition all world affairs and control entirely the political, economic, and social life of the people, it would produce a far more serious cleavage than now exists, for instance, between the rich and poor, or between the classes or the castes. It would produce a pronounced line of demarcation between the kingdom of God and the kingdom of men. This would run counter to hierarchical intention, which is rapidly healing the existent breach, and thus offset the work which Christ set out to do on earth. This point is often overlooked by well-intentioned disciples. It is humanity which determines its own destiny. Disciples point the way, indicate the vision, set a needed example, and emphasize the ancient landmarks. This is from Master D.K., page 68, Discipleship in the New Age, Volume 2. So we disciples ourselves must be on alert that in our own thinking and reaction to world evil, that we don't go into despair and create a serious division. Instead, we can and must try like the spiritual hierarchy does, to point the way, indicate the visions, set the example, and provide the needed encouragement for humanity. We can attune to the inner realities of life through meditation and spiritual effort. And we can be the outer points of light and love and hope and faith in the world, so that ultimately good will prevail. We can strengthen the will and indicate the way for others. Love is the most powerful energy in the second-ray solar system, so we should never underestimate the power of love. And in an essential sense, we in humanity are all the same, just as the Dalai Lama says. We all want happiness and joy. We all want opportunity. And essentially, we all are a divine spark of God. All people in the world are connected in one human family. But of course, we're not all at the same point of development, the same awareness and consciousness. So outwardly, we are very diverse. How can we best connect with diverse groups of people with different ideas, different religions, and so forth? Charles Gibbs spoke at our conference a number of years ago about when he was working to begin the United Religions Initiative to bring together the leaders of many diverse religious faiths: Hindu, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, Zoroastrians, Jains, indigenous people, Baha'i, and more, to get them to hopefully work together to achieve interfaith cooperation. In his initiative, Charles began with personal get-to-know-one-another events, so that diverse religious leaders could make personal connections and learn about each other and their families and create rapport and connections based on their similarities as parents, grandparents, and so forth. This rapport, along with the technique of appreciative inquiry, was so valuable, as the groups went into discussions and decision-making to reach a consensus. The many meetings grew eventually into the United Religions Initiative, which today has 838 interfaith groups in 99 countries with over 1 million members. So it's quite an accomplishment. So first of all, to bridge a divide, we can focus on how we're alike. And we can make a caring heart connection. Loving understanding is key to interactions with others who may have different views and different perspectives. With respect, we can connect in the heart and then listen, observe, ask questions, and try to understand. What are their hopes and desires, their challenges, their points of similarities with us? Can we get a sense about their values, which is really important? It's important to create a foundation of connection and understanding before we start talking facts and push for action. By understanding a person more, we can frame our discussions in the words and ideas that could be the most meaningful and attractive to them. And a good truth to recall, if someone seems to be being difficult to get along with, is that they are a soul, just like you and me. They are part of us. With loving understanding and a heart approach, we can best help bridge the divide. However, as spiritual students and servers, there are times when we also must stand up and fight for our own values, beliefs, and rights when something extremely harmful is underway. We must assert our higher will if a dangerous initiative needs to be challenged. Issues of denying climate change, unsafe water, air and food, lack of affordable health care, women's rights, immigration and refugees, inadequate public education, religious freedom, and helping the poor and disadvantaged may call us into action to bring collective group pressure on our representatives and leaders who are supposed to be working for us. As spiritual students, as we do this, as spiritual servers as well, we can help other citizens become well-informed and help create a more enlightened public opinion. In January of this year, I attended the presidential inauguration in Washington, D.C. My purpose was to be a spiritual observer, to help invoke the good angels for the highest good of our country. Several spiritual groups held meditations on Inauguration Day, and they asked me to be a physical anchor point to help ground the spiritual energies at the Capitol site that they were sending to D.C. for the well-being of our country. I had a very, very potent meditation there. The next day was a call to action as I and some of my friends, Jacqueline and Gretchen, marched in the Women's March on Washington, D.C. Over 1.5 million women and a few good men gathered at a rally and then marched down Pennsylvania Avenue to the White House. It was powerful and amazing. There was such purposefulness as well as warm-hearted collaboration and goodwill as women from all over the country showed up with handmade signs for women's rights and the causes they cared about. And despite the huge crowds, there were no arrests. It was all peaceful. And check out these policemen with their hats. There were also all the terrific sister marches in so many other cities around the U.S. and even around the world, including Antarctica. Over 670 women's marches were held that day for women's rights. How many of you marched then? Yes. Do you recognize anyone in these photos? Part of our group. And here's some more pictures of some of us marching. Women and a few good men. When we want to take action for causes we're standing up for, it's good to know what are the most effective things to do and how to do it. There is expert advice now in the newly created and free Indivisible Guide, which gives online expert advice from wise DC staffers who have seen what really works in DC, and how to contact our elected representatives to impact Congress. They say focus on the people you can vote for. They'll pay the most attention to you. This information is at indivisibleguide.com. And MoveOn.org also has good participating in organizing ideas for important causes. Many hundreds of thousands of citizens are now phoning, texting, and showing up at their representatives' offices and town hall meetings, while sometimes the congressperson scampers out the back door. That's not a good way to win votes. We citizens are strongly making our voices heard, and we're awakening and educating other citizens and enlightening public opinion. So we want to change the world and make it better for everyone. And I'm happy to report there is a president who wants to do that too. His name is Kid President, and he is a sparkler of wisdom, insight, and humor with great ideas. So now, let's watch this video clip together and hear Kid President's ideas on how to change the world.
There are lots of ideas how you can change the world. Some people think you should just complain about it. That won't change the world, it'll just make it bad. Some people think you have lots of money, making it rain everywhere you go. Holla for $1. Some people think you have to be really loud and yell a lot. It's like with a bullhorn shouting, "Hey you, do it my way right now, you heard?" Other people choose to just make fun of everything. That's dumb, everyone's dumb. It's easy to make fun of stuff, but it's cooler to make stuff. Some people think changing the world can only be done by the smartest person in the world. Just put them in a room, let them figure it out. The solution of world hunger? Food. Wow, that was so amazing. Some people see the bad in the world and they just decide to ignore it. But that won't help anything. Some people think you have to be really famous and super cool. In fact, lots of people think you have to be really powerful to make a difference. Like being mayor or senator or president. But the truth is, a title doesn't make you more important. The world is changed by you. It's one person filled with love. And they just have to live it out. So they do something awesome. Then that person is filled with love. And they do something awesome. It just goes on and on and on and on. And the next thing you know, everything's awesome. Some people think it's impossible to change the world.
It's impossible to change the world.
Well, you can see why they could think that. Living in the world with kids who are hungry, people who are homeless, families weren't happy. I'm just trying to figure it out like everybody else, man. I do know this, though. Next time you feel overwhelmed or totally alone, remember this. Things don't have to be the way they are. The world is changed by ordinary people. Little people living out big love. And that's what gives the world a reason to dance. So, how do we change the world? At the start of this year, I asked all you guys to make the year more awesome. Time to be awesome is now! Make this year awesome for somebody else. Whether it's helping the homeless with Stoptober, throwing a parade for somebody, or giving an inspired gift. You can see my holiday gift guide like you can hear. You help prove that the internet can be an awesome place. Thank you, but we're not done yet. A lot. Well, with it.
He's pretty cute, isn't he? And very wise. He gets my vote. Well, let me tell you a bit about the story about Kid President. His name is Robbie Novak from Henderson, Tennessee, and he began being Kid President when he was 9 years old. He just turned 13 now. Robbie was adopted into the Novak family, and he developed a close friendship with his older brother-in-law, Brad Montague. They began making these videos for family and friends and posted them on YouTube. That's where it really took off. People loved the fun of Kid President and his message of love and practical wisdom from a little boy in a suit in his tiny presidential office. Kid President's viewership soared, and he attracted national attention, connecting eventually with President Obama in the White House and going to the United Nations and the Today Show, and even meeting his favorite, Beyonce. Kid President has the biggest heart, and he has an endearing focus on love. And what you may not know is he also has a rare brittle bone disease and has broken over 70 bones in his body and has had 13 surgeries and now has steel rods in both of his legs. But nothing can break Kid President's charming and exuberant positive spirit and the practical wisdom and insight and joy that comes from him. Robbie and Brad have created more than 115 videos, and they've been watched by over 12 million people. Let's see what Kid President says now on how to disagree with people.
How to disagree with people. Not that you need any help. There's lots of stuff to disagree on if you're looking for it. Cake versus pie, apples or oranges, this sports team versus this sports team. Which movie star is better, Ryan Goosebaby or Charming Tater? I don't know. Some people even argue for tree.
You just standing there, huh? Listen to this opinion. I got an opinion.
Who am I to judge though? Maybe that tree said something about his mama. I'm just saying, some people just get worked up about anything. Even One Direction, they're not all going the same direction anymore. Bye-bye, Zayn. Everyone loved you. You broke everyone's heart. Bye-bye. Some people argue about which animal is better, cat, dog, elephant, or donkey. Anyway. Okay. You're not always going to agree. Even with the most agreeable person in the world. Just saying. So look, in a world with so many things to disagree on, we gotta learn how to disagree without making everybody feel terrible. Step 1, Treat people like they're people. I know, seems pretty simple. But in a heated argument, you can forget that you're talking to a person, a human being, someone who has a heartbeat. Unless you're arguing with a tree, that's a whole other problem. I can't help you there. Step 2, listen. Listen, before trying to change someone's opinion, take time to listen to them, even if what they say does not make sense. That's the power of treating someone like a person. You gotta hear them out. You got 2 ears and 1 nose for a reason. You gotta listen more than you smell. I'm pretty sure that's not right. Keep listening. Step 3, pause, breathe, love. When you disagree, you're gonna want to do some crazy stuff, like yell, or write and release a whole entire album outlining that you're right and they're wrong. Don't do it. Instead, you gotta pause, breathe, love. It's okay to disagree. It's not okay to be mean. Don't say it until you can say it with love. There's plenty of legit stuff to be mad at in the world. This life stuff, it's hard. Let's not just spend our time here being mad at each other. You don't have to see eye to eye to work shoulder to shoulder, people. Step 4. Are you stuck in an argument? Distract them. Look, I know we don't see eye to eye, but baby koalas are awesome. But we weren't talking about that. Did you see it? Yeah. 3 words. Baby koalas. That's 2 words. All you want to do is disagree. Just enjoy the koala babies, man. Baby koalas bring peace. Step 5. Acceptance. Here's something you gotta accept. Not everybody's the same, and that's a good thing. I mean, imagine a world with just full of Rainn Wilsons. Nightmare, right? I'm just kidding, Rainn Williams. You're a beautiful and amazing specimen. I'm just saying, we need variety. We need disagreement. We may not like it, but we need each other. We just gotta learn to be more awesome to each other. It's like what Nelson Mandela said. If you wanna make peace with your enemy, you have to work with your enemy. And then he becomes your partner. And then there's Gandhi. He said, honest disagreement is often a good sign of progress. I mean, both of them have disagreements with people. Well, it's not always easy, but they try to treat people like they're people. We can also look to the words of somebody else. The amazing Pokemon, Meow. We do have a lot in common. The same air, the same earth, the same sky. Maybe if we start looking at what's the same, instead of always looking at what's different, well, who knows? Yeah, that's from the Pokemon movie, so it has to be true. It is true, you know it is. Grown-ups, we kids have been watching you. We've been learning how to disagree with people by watching you. We've seen some healthy disagreements, and also lots of recent disagreements. Nobody wins when all we want to do is win. We got a whole world to make more awesome. No time to be yelling back and forth to each other. Maybe we should stop, breathe, love. It's okay. It's gonna be okay. We can disagree, but we can't let it make us forget. Step 6, dance. Ooh, some mail. Dear Kid President, your voice has changed. Will you be Kid President forever? I won't always be a kid. Guess you're gonna have to just stay tuned and see what happens next, you know? That's how life works.
So Kid President is doing his part to create outer harmony, even when people disagree and are divided. We esotericists have a special opportunity to also work on the subtle problem of separativeness and on glamours and illusions, but from the subtle level of consciousness. There, we can begin to help dissipate and lessen the glamours of the astral emotional plane. With its distortions, fogs, darkness, and negative emotions that for ages have come from humanity and darken and distort that plane. And we can work on dispelling illusions and harmful thought forms that dwell on the mental plane. Glamour and illusion block the light and prevent people from being able to discriminate truth and what is real. Lead us from the unreal to the real. Today, in the outer world, with all the lies and deliberate fake news, and the tens of thousands of people hired to spread lies and distortions via the internet and social media, this is a huge and increasing problem. Master DK gave us an esoteric formula found in the Bailey book, Glamour, a World Problem, to use to help dispel glamour and illusion. Michael and Tuya Robbins and I, last year at this conference, initiated a global group that meets once a week in online webinars to study and discuss glamour and illusion, and then uses the esoteric formula to help dissipate it. Other groups are doing this too. It will take a very, very long period to have a large impact, but we esotericists must begin now. The problem is so great. So, if you feel inspired, please join in this effort however you choose and help. You can join our Dissipating Glamour initiative at makara.us. And now, let's focus on giving energy to the good and watch it flourish and bridge the divide. Kid President has some great closing ideas on how good can spread. Let's watch.
Oh, they smell like America. Today's episode is about giving back and about how good can spread. I'm gonna need a bigger bag. Got too much good to give. You're not one of those people who say the world can't be changed. You believe that it's everybody's duty to give the world a reason to dance, right? We have a whole world to make more awesome, people. We need you. We really need you. Kids, people who used to be kids, everybody. But how, Kid President? Everything's terrible. Hey, quiet you. I know, sometimes things can look pretty dark, but there's always light. Light is always still there. In fact, let me show you how good spreads. Yeah, this is my baby right here. Okay, I need you guys to listen up. This is how good spreads. Let's read. How does good spread? Can we make the world brighter? Can we together make somebody's load lighter? Some people think good only spreads if you have lots of money, or a nonprofit who makes a cool video that's slick and really funny.
Burp.
Does good only spread when you have the right hashtag, or the right bracelet or t-shirt, or give out free tote bags? Does good happen by accident, just out of the blue? Does good only spread when Beyonce allows it to? Queen Bee? She's pretty powerful, but wow, so are you. The world's only seen a glimpse of what you can do. Your heart is so big, but you might feel so small. I'm telling you now, you're thinking as a flaw. Good spreads when good is spread. And that's totally how you live. You share and you love, and you give and give and give. If someone needs lifting, you send them a rope. Your little whispers of love sends out huge gusts of hope. I know what you're thinking. That's a nice little story you're reading, Kid President. But what about me? You wanna know how you can make good things spread in the world? Show up. Show up in the world. You'll be a light. You'll see work to be done on your left and your right. Like Caitlin, a girl who met people in need and started putting inspiring words on dusty old keys. Now she gives people jobs and second chances. She's filling the world with more and more dances. Or Ricky, a funny guy who wanted to share random acts of kindness everywhere. Communities are changing in Cleveland and tons of other places because Ricky just wanted to put smiles on folks' faces. I mean, there's other things too. Ever heard of Socktober? Well, Brad, the guy behind the camera here, before we started all this Kid President stuff, he started Socktober. He was just a guy who wanted to make a difference. He was just a sad, pale man.
Hey, come on.
It's just the truth. Well, anyway, he heard socks were one of the most needed but least donated item in homeless shelters, right when they're preparing in the winter months. There are over 600,000 men and women who are homeless in the United States. And some of them were children. He started telling some friends, and then they started telling some friends, and telling schools, and telling churches. And then the next year, grew even bigger. We started this little Kid President project, and I invited some people to help out. And you totally have. So October drives have happened all over the United States, in every single state, and on every single continent. That's the whole world, y'all. There's just a need. There's good to be done, and we're inviting people to do it. I guess that's just how good spreads. So how will you show up? How will you make things brighter? By loving the people next to you, and making your loads lighter. Anger is contagious. Hate and fear, they are too. But I'm not here to spread those, and neither are you. We're here to spread hope and make the world dance. Open your eyes and your heart, and we might stand a chance. Get out of your comfort zone and get out of your head. Get to loving people, and good can't help but be spread. Woo! Oh, don't know about y'all, but I'm ready.
So Kid President is for love, and we are too. And never forget that a good heart is always radiating its message to someone. Love is powerful, and it's always the answer. Thank you very much.